Alrighty, so we're about 5 after here, so I think maybe we can get this rolling. So just folks, just so you know what we're doing here, we're going to go through a brief presentation about the Scribe product, and then at the end of it, I'm going to allow you guys to unmute yourselves. But I'm going to start off with everybody muted, just so that Mike has clear access to the microphone. I am playing the role of Mr. Clicky, where I advance the slides. So hopefully you're all seeing my screen right now. And when we get to the demo, I'll be doing the demo as well, just so Mike is free to chat. Let me just back up a little bit here and introduce Mike Calvo, who is indeed from Pneuma Solutions down in Florida. Mike and I have collaborated for many years, previously with his company Serotech, which was the manufacturer of the System Access Screen Reader, DocuScan, the Sero Network, amongst others. I'm really excited about his new venture here with Pneuma Solutions. And Mike, why don't you start off by talking about the problem that you're trying to address with your product.
So thanks for coming out today during this interesting time we live in, and actually I think that what we're offering is very relevant because everybody is dealing with online. Pneuma Solutions is a company that provides accessible cloud-based solutions for corporate entities. So we're more of a B2B than we are a B2C. We will be absorbing some of the Serotech stuff which will be consumer, but our main goal is working with B2B customers. The whole idea behind our flagship product, Scribe, is the premise that we should have access to our information all the time as print impaired folks, as regular everybody else. And that is unfortunately not the case. Now that is nobody's fault except for kind of the speed of technology, and as we get through here, we'll see that Scribe works for most situations. It doesn't work for every situation, and we're going to touch where it does and does not work. The one thing that I'm not here to do is to tell you that Scribe is currently the end-all be-all to document accessibility. However, when all you have available to you is a hammer, everything does look like a nail. And our current environment for document accessibility consists of people doing the work. And it's our thought at Pneuma, and I think that the information that's available, the research backs it up, is there's way too much information, current and legacy, that needs actual remediation to have any army of humans do it within a reasonable amount of time. So this is where we as a company leverage the power of machine learning, and we'll get more into that as we go. So that's the problem that Scribe addresses. We need to be able to access information at the same time. Obviously, if we give the information to
Sorry, go ahead. I've muted. We just had a late addition, and I've muted him, so you're good to go.
Well, welcome. Basically, the bottom line is, as we said, it takes a long time to get a document remediated. So that's a problem, because if you're trying to get documents out to your employees or to your members or whatever fast, then document remediation needs to be a part of your workflow. And human document remediation is currently the only solution. Not only is it slow, but it's also expensive. You're dealing with a cost of about $10 to $15 a page. That's not a file. And at the end of the day, what you're going to get back after it's gone through at least three different processes, which may or may not be three different people, and that consists of bringing the document in, looking at the document electronically most of the time through Adobe or other tools, and then having a human remediator come back. Excuse me. I promise I've been tested, and I'm good. But it consists of this human remediator going through and marking the document up where the electronic stuff fell short, then sending it to another person who is going to run it through various assistive technologies, including screen readers and whatnot, to make sure that this document is done properly and meets the WCAG state compliance, and then comes back to be one last time proved and then sent to the actual content owner. And all that content owner gets back is a PDF, a tagged PDF. Now, what about if the document needs to be made in other forms, other formats like Braille, large print, MP3, EPUB? There's a number of different forms of consuming content available to print impaired people. They are not just reading a tagged PDF. Yet there is a cost involved in each one of these different conversions. Scribe, on the other hand, does it all in one shot. We feed a document in, and you pick your format, and you basically get back the format you want within minutes, not days, weeks, or months.
So Mike, can you talk about, because I think the most glaring example of where human remediation cost mass amounts and didn't necessarily solve all the problems is the example of California and how they went about making their documents accessible.
Now, I wish, and I don't mean to knock our friends in California, but there's just so many things that went wrong with this, besides the fact that document remediation is slow. And it has to do with the workflow and everything else. But the main thing here is that California was required by law to make 2.7 million documents accessible within 2 years.
I think it was 2.5.
Oh, was it 2.5? Sorry about that. Well, 2.5. But hey, what's a couple 100,000 documents among friends?
Exactly.
But the point is that it's 2.5 million documents, not pages. So let's just take the example of saying, let's say each document, and come on, we're dealing with government here, so there's no way on God's green earth that it's going to be 4 pages per document. But for the sake of discussion here, let's say that each document consisted of 4 pages. Now you've got 10 million pages that need to be done in what? 2 years. Well, at the average cost of $15 a page, which actually California, when all the numbers were counted, it ended up costing them about $17 a page for the actual remediation, not to mention the tons of hours that were invested in from government workers and all of that to make this project happen, and the 2 years that it took to create a whopping 100,000 100,000 documents.
113,000 documents.
Yeah.
They got 4% of their documents done and spent about $6 million on it.
And how did they pick these documents, Steve? Google Analytics. That's right. They went back and they looked at what documents have people read before. Oh, then definitely print impaired people must want that. No prioritization. And what was the answer at the end of 2 years? If those documents were not made accessible, they would be removed from the internet, not just for print impaired people, but now, welcome to my world, people. Now the information is just not there. And by the way, I mean, listen, the fact is that if a document isn't accessible to me as a print impaired person, in the current state of things, it's up to me to have to go and learn a number of AT products that I have to own first to see if that document is made accessible. But now, through the legislative genius that we have in our government sometimes, now everybody loses access to this content because it was impossible to make this document, to make these 2.5 million documents accessible in 2 years. First of all, just looking at that example, it cost them $17 a page. If Scribe had been in existence at that time, which it was not in their defense, but it is now. And in fact, we were looking to talk to California at the CSUN conference, and we all know what happened in March. So we're trying to get that together as this is being recorded. So I don't know when you'll hear this, but the bottom line is that we can do this, the 2.5 million documents, an average of about 10 million pages, for less than $1 a page in probably about 2 weeks, using the power of the cloud, or what we call our supercompute cloud, which uses the power of Amazon Cloud Services, or AWS. And we could do it in 2 weeks and to about 95% accuracy. Now, of course, the zealots are going to say, oh my goodness, 95% accuracy. Well, let's talk about that for a second. We're talking about 95% accuracy right now. We're talking about $1 a page versus $17 a page. And we're talking about the fact that we could, and we do, provide a path to human remediation. So now the owner of the content doesn't need to say, well, is this important enough to remediate? Using the Scribe platform, you can make everything accessible. And as the technology is used more, and we'll talk more about that with the machine learning, the technology will get better. So right now what we're really quibbling about is, a 1,700% increase in cost and a 4% increase in accuracy. And that just doesn't jive with me when it comes to the numbers. So that is the deal. Right now, there are 2.5 million documents, give or take, a couple 100,000, that are offline in California with absolutely no hope to come back, because even if they were to get the costs under control and get the army of people, it's still going to take years. Something that could take with Scribe could literally take weeks. So that's a big thing. And as I said before, machine learning is a big part of this, because the challenge has been that while thousands, tens of thousands of documents have been remediated, basically the best thing that machine learning does is learn. Well, you've got all of these experts that are out there, people that are remediating documents, but their knowledge is going nowhere. So what we're doing is we're going back and we're saying, hey, you know what? We are going to remediate documents that need remediation with humans, and we're going to go back and we're going to teach the model. You did it wrong. You did it wrong. And we've seen this working behind the scenes. We do it now for language detection 100% of the time. We do it for other processes, and as our machine learning models grow and we get better at it, and we get more content, I think that you're going to start to see very soon, a 96, 97, 98%. And really, I hate it when I'm in the middle of a Zoom call and I get a call. Sorry. It just took over my whole screen here. I'm sorry, guys. I have to go back to my...
It's terrible being popular, Mike.
I'm sorry?
It's terrible being popular.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. So the way, how are we going to do that? The question, how are we going to do that? Well, the way we're going to do that is when you put a document through Scribe, basically, whether it be a PDF. Now that's the thing, is we can handle any printable document format. We take it, we bring it into the workflow, and we analyze it with our tools, and you pick the kind of output you want, whether you want tagged PDF, whether you want HTML, whatever the number of forms that we have, Braille, large print. Once you pick that, we then send you the completed document. If it's not Oh my goodness. I am so sorry. This thing is yakking at me. If we are not accurate enough for whatever it is you're doing, and by the way, there are times where accuracy is of the utmost importance. And we can provide a button for you to click on that will then send the document to either your own in-house or your own document remediation group of choice, and they can use all that we've done already, and all they got to do is basically proof it. Send it back to us, and we then take it back to the model and say, see, this is where you goofed up. The model says, oh, I won't do that again, and provide the document back to the user, and then replace it in the content owner's library. That is the most important part of this process when it comes to training it, is making sure that we take the information that the humans put in and don't just throw it away. And that's what's been being done. We've been remediating documents for years, but at no time in history has anyone taken that and put it into a fully automated process that actually learns from its mistakes. And that's the beauty of machine learning. And I'm trying to get the notes back.
I think we're into pricing and service models now, Mike.
Sorry?
Pricing and service models.
Yeah, there we go. Yes, I'm there. Okay. So basically, Scribe comes in a number of pricing and service models. Like I said, Pneuma is first and foremost a accessible cloud solutions company. So we provide, for example, Scribe in front of your website. So what we would do is we would give you some HTML that you would embed into your CMS. And every time a printable piece of material comes up on your website, there will be a button there that says Convert with Scribe. And as you will see, the individual clicks on that button, and they are displayed a number of options.
You are using the computer audio.
What?
Jim, I'm going to mute you during the presentation. We'll unmute a little bit later.
So basically where was I? Oh, so in the website situation, we whenever you click on that button, then you're presented with the options of would you like it in Braille, large print, MP3, whatever, and you click on it, and we provide the document right back to you, either in real time or via email, depending. For example, if you ask for an MP3, we're going to tell you, hey, we're going to send you a link to that. And generally, depending on it takes about a minute a page. So if you're dealing with a 100-page document, it may be an hour or so before you get the audio back. But it's pretty clean and pretty nice audio. And by the way, we handle bilingual audio as well. So if your document is in multiple languages, we provide it back to you in text-to-speech in your actual language. It's not somebody saying, porque hoy es el día más importante, type of thing. The other forms of accessing Scribe or using the Scribe technology have to do with the workplace. And this is an area that human remediation hasn't really been able to work with too much. For example, let's say we have somebody in law enforcement, or someone in the legal field, or someone in the insurance field that needs to deal with very private information, that needs to deal with it right away. Obviously, 95% is not perfect, but it's enough for this individual to look through and prioritize documents, and then be able to either get them better described to them, or if they need it, or if 95% is good enough, and is, again, as I stated before, as the system gets better, it will get better. They can basically, do their job without having to learn 5 different AT products and then print the thing out and see if they can scan it. If they can't scan it, how they could do this and how they could, you have to become basically a computer guru just to be able to know what your document is. And with Scribe, we eliminate that by providing either a desktop solution that can be put onto one individual's desktop, or a server appliance that can be run on your own private network that has no access to the internet whatsoever, giving your information the utmost of privacy. We don't even keep any of the information. Basically, the way I like to describe it to people is to say to them, hey, we are like your copier. You put an inaccessible document in one side, we do our magic, we forget about what we just did, and after we spit out the accessible version on the other side. In fact, when it comes to using or storing Scribe output on the local level, we require you to hook up to your own storage. We store nothing. And that's an important differentiation when it comes to security of information. And then the last, of course, is the full document, full library remediation, which would be using our supercompute cloud. And that's really depending on the size of your library. But like I said, we could do millions of documents in a couple of days, or millions of pages, I'm sorry, in a couple of days. And using AWS from Amazon. And that is truly an amazing thing, because right now, for example, with California, there's absolutely no reason for us to not go back and be able to do this for them, get all those documents back online. And as people need 100% or 99% accessible documents, they can request them in real time. And let me tell you, just that right there is going to beat the heck out of any Google Analytics that they're going to do, trying to figure out what people really want to consume. By giving the consumer full access to the full library and then allowing the consumer to decide, hey, I want this. It's not only going to save the state money and save the content owner money, but it's also going to put that information into the consumer's hands so much faster. So do we have any questions, I guess, before we get into the live demo here?
So at this point, folks, feel free to unmute yourself if you have questions for Mike, and we'll proceed on to just showing you how the product works once we're done with questions. Nelson.
Yes, I was just wondering, is this software, or is this like, do you have to have any special equipment to run this?
Actually, no. The only thing that the user needs, I'm assuming you're asking for the user.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, yeah. So all the user needs is a browser, and their favorite AT of choice, whatever that would be, whether that be a Braille display or a text to speech or whatever. As far as the presenter, the owners of the content, or the people who host the content, they of course would need an infrastructure, and we would work with them to integrate our solution into that, so that it becomes kind of a one-click solution for the end user.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Oops, I closed a window. Anybody else have questions? I'm hearing crickets.
Well, as someone that I greatly admire, that used to work with us a long time ago, used to say, if you're quiet, you like it. We used to do a lot of online meetings, and that was his thing, is that, hey, if you're quiet, you like it. So I'll stick to that.
All righty. So I have up right now on screen, I've got my my Google Chrome browser, and I have installed a extension which I had to do manually here because it's not available through the store yet. But in my extensions, I've got this handy dandy, where'd it go? Convert with Scribe version 0.0.1. And I had to go into developer mode in order to install this, but ultimately this will be available.
Okay, you're using the audio.
Sorry, Jim, was there something there? Okay, so So with this extension, what I now have is I have this little icon up in the top top left for the Scribe extension. If I go to, hang on, let's get that out of the way.
Now, it's important that we mention here, the reason that Steve is using this Scribe extension, and this is going to be available to consumers later on this year, is just in case the content owner has not used Scribe or does not have accessible documents, if they're not a Scribe subscriber, if you will. Basically, this gives you, the consumer, the power to scribe any document as you go and you traverse the internet without needing to ask the content owner to remediate. And yeah, that's a great kind of, you know, way to patch things up. But in a real world, we should just have stuff available to us right away without needing to install its extensions and learn how things work.
Right. So just as an example, I decided to seek out some inaccessible documents, and Mike just in passing mentioned Heathkit, and I thought, Heathkit? Holy Lord, that's old. So sure enough, here's a bunch of Heathkit manuals, and they're available in PDF format. And this is old school scanned PDF. Hang on, click on there, please.
And see, that's a big deal because Scribe, listen, if we're dealing with a current workflow, most companies should have an accessible document creation workflow created. But if you're dealing with legacy documents, for example, Heathkit, I mean, come on, man, this is 1970s we're dealing with here. Most of that stuff was just scanned and dropped into the computer, and they're usually graphic files. No way we could read that. And there is really, for the amount of people that are accessing Heathkit, is it really worth a company paying $15 a page to have all of these remediated? Well, we don't think so, which is why we provide a way for them to do this. And when they put it on their website, using one of our methods that we discussed earlier, they could, the user could just come and click on the Heathkit manual, and it'll come up and say, what format do you want it in? And bingo, they can have it in an accessible format within minutes.
Right. So I've got two options here. If I was on that main page here, so I've got this RF Probe 309C with the PDF icon over on the side of it. If I go to the context menu on that link for downloading the PDF, because I have the extension installed, I now have the option of Convert with Scribe on my context menu. So I can select that, and it is going to open it up, prepare a preview for me of that document. And that preview is accessible. So you can
the reason for the preview is, yeah, if you see if you like it, what it looks like.
So there's my preview of the document now on screen, and this would be accessible with a screen reader if I was using one.
Steve, was that you, or is that, or we have to mute somebody?
We've got Jim joining the audio right now, and I think there's a little bit of background noise there. So now down at the bottom of that document, I have options. I have read in app. I've got convert to EPUB, audio, RTF, PDF, Braille, and DAISY. So let's say I want this in RTF format. I could just select RTF, hit convert, and it's going to convert the document. Now, I can just wait for this to come through, or I have a checkbox there that says notify by email when conversion is complete. So if it was a longer document, it would email me a link to it. And I just got that error again. Oopsie, sorry, an error just occurred. We ran into that this morning. I think there's a minor issue around.
Wouldn't be a demo if it was error.
It wouldn't be a demo if everything worked. And of course, this document worked this morning when I tried it before. So,
of course it did.
Yeah, but you do have these options for converting the document. I wonder if I did it to, what did I do it to last time? Did I do audio? I think I did audio last time. Let's see if it'll do audio for me. So this one will take quite a bit longer because it's got to actually put it through the process to turn it into an accessible format, and then it's got to run it through the text-to-speech engine. So in this case, it says, due to the high quality of our text-to-speech voices, the conversion to audio will take time. We will email you when the conversion is complete. Alternatively, you may bookmark this page and check back later. The conversion will continue in the background, so feel free to leave this page now. So I can just wander off here and then just start looking for it in my email, and I don't really have anything in my email there right now. So, but that's the process for going through it from the end user perspective using the extension in Chrome.
One of the things that we're doing also, and it really sounds cool when you do it through the audio, is we are using automatic alt tag conversion, so machine learned alt tag creation. So it looks at pictures on the screen, graphics, and it does its best to describe them. And again, you can come back as a human remediator later and correct it. But let me tell you, if any of us are using iPhones or whatever, that stuff is getting pretty darn good, at least for the kind of detail that I want out of a graphic in a Word document or in a PDF file.
Yeah, I'm just going to do this again here a little bit different way. So this is the University of Arizona. They've got a website talking about PDF access, and they've got some examples of inaccessible documents. So I'm going to grab their World of Love sample here. Now, in this case, I've opened the document. I've got the document open in front of me. None of this is selectable. This is all just a picture of a PDF. So in this case, I can go to my extensions link up here, and I can go to convert with Scribe on my extensions link. There's also a hotkey for this, which I've already forgotten. Is it Control-Alt-period or something?
I think so. It changes.
You've been changing it, do you? So again, it's going to prepare a preview. Again, I've got the option to be notified by email when the conversion is complete. Here's my accessible preview of it now. And let's say I wanted to take it to Braille. I could hit convert. And it is now ready to download. And now I've got my Braille file, and I don't have anything to open my Braille file in on this computer. That's on my laptop, so I can't open that for you right now, unfortunately. But I do have it as a BRF file now in Braille.
And of course, you can take that file and load it into whatever you want, be it your, so you can print it, or so you can look at it with your electronic Braille display.
Or you could load it onto an SD card and put it on your fancy Canute reading tablet.
Now, the important thing to note here about Scribe when being used by a content owner, and that is, remember we were talking earlier about the cost of production. We are able to, for about $1, provide all of these formats. So when we do a full conversion, full library conversion for a customer, what we do is we actually give them all the versions that they want. They can literally say, you know, give me all 5 or all 7 different versions that you produce, and there's no difference in cost for them. It's the same thing. It doesn't take us any more, any less work to do Braille and large print and tag PDF and EPUB, all that stuff, all at the same time for the same cost. And that's a huge thing, because usually a company has to go, and if they've got one tagged PDF, they got to send it out to the Braille people, and then they got to send it to somebody else to put it in EPUB, and, you know, or at least take people internally in doing it. And we just do it in one shot.
Nifty neato. So that's the product in a nutshell there, folks. If you have questions, feel free to unmute yourself and carry on.
Oh, do you have any audio from the system, Steve, that you've done on your
I did do a test audio at one point, but do I still have it is the question.
Yeah, just so folks can hear the quality of the TTS that we're using.
No, I don't seem to have it. So let me just take that sample and I will convert it to audio.
can I ask a question while you're waiting for that to
Sure.
convert? My name's Jen Golden. Hi. I have two questions. I think that they are quick. So one is about the Braille conversion. Which tables, like, are you using LibLouis for the output, or what? Okay.
Yes, we are using LibLouis, so any of the LibLouis tables are available to you.
Okay.
So you can pick those.
Okay.
It's pretty extensive. Like you can go in and kind of, nip and tuck it the way you want to, produce it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm actually a Braille reader, so I was curious to know what the output would look like. My other question is, in terms of the extension that you're talking about, where you said, if you're accessing content where the content owner hasn't implemented Scribe, we can get the extension. I guess I have a question and a quick comment in terms of, because I sort of feel my approach to this because I work in document accessibility, but being an end user, I have like my end user perspective, and then there's work stuff. But I actually really like, as an end user, being in control. So while I agree that companies and organizations should do it, and in principle, like, I as the end user shouldn't have to make their documents accessible, at the same time I find that if I have the means to do it, then I'm in control. I can get what I want when I want to. I don't, right? So and that kind of just ties into my final question, and I am studying part-time while working, and the university in the city where I live, where I am studying, they have some good support for students who require document accessibility, but they have, like, you may have to wait a few days, nothing that you haven't heard before. Or they have, like, I've requested, because you're doing research online, you come across an article, and I'm pretty tolerant about what kind of PDFs I will try to deal with, but there's some research articles that are just horrible. It's just the way they were converted. A PDF where there's like 2 letters on a line, and so I guess where I'm coming back to is, like, this would be unbelievably helpful to me, in my student role, to be able to just have the extension, find the article, I'm going to send this to Braille, and have a Braille file. So I guess what would the cost be for me as an end user to have the extension?
So that's a great question, and so the first part of what you're saying is absolutely true. I think that when possible, and I've been developing software for many years now, and I love the automatic versus stick approach, using the kind of the car analogy. And when someone can drive stick, like you or myself or others can, I don't think that we shouldn't be allowed to, which is exactly why we're making the extension available. There's some behind the scenes things going on, systems integrations that need to happen on my side first, but this will be available to the public in the next couple of months.
Cool.
That brings me to the cost issue. What we're trying to do, and we are working on getting our costs to a place where we can make this a part of the Cero offering. And Cero is a product that Pneuma is inheriting from Serotech.
Serotech, yeah.
And basically, it's a number of different services, but one of the services would be an unlimited use of this tool.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? For the cost of the annual service.
Yeah, because I'd love to say, I'll get the university to use Scribe, and then it'll be all great, but I don't have control over. I can recommend.
It's funny. We want universities to use Scribe, but we don't want them to use it yet. We want them to use it down the road, because I think for education, for what you're doing, 95% is cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if somebody's depending on that as their sole source for conversion in a university, that's just not good enough. And that's the one thing that I really demand that people understand about us as a company. We're not here to blow smoke at you and say, oh, we can do what we can't.
Yeah.
We're going to get there. But, you know, and you crawl before you walk and you walk before you run. So, you know, while I think this is a great tool for universities, it's definitely a tool. It's not the tool.
Right.
Yet.
Yeah, and I appreciate your honesty. That's You're right. For what I need, you know, and if I need something in addition to that, I have ways of doing that. But I mean, this would be a huge help. But and it's good to know what you're saying about, you know, down the road. It'll take the university probably that long to
well, yeah, and
start using it anyway.
Yeah, we definitely want to be, you know, the end, because I think that you know, if you can have an AI solution handling the workflow, yes, it's important that a company maintain accessibility standards. But I've owned a number of companies in my day, and I've never had to worry if a bathroom stall is accessible or if a ramp, you know, if the angle on that, I just say, get it done, and it gets done. And right now in the current environment, we're insisting that these companies that, you know, are struggling in certain cases, because the big ones, it's the companies that are being sued are both big and small for lack of accessibility. So the bigger ones I've got no sympathy for. The smaller ones I got sympathy for, because they don't know. And amongst all the other things that they've got to traverse, now they've got to learn about creating accessible documents. So shoot, we as a community should get involved and do something. And that's exactly why I've kind of taken up my battle cry of saying, you know, we need to do this. We need to, it's not perfect, but it's going to be, you know.
But it's way better than, like, and I don't mean it like, oh, it's better than nothing. That sounds like such a backhanded compliment. But when I say this is way better than not doing it, I mean, that's a really good thing. And I agree with you 100%. Like small companies, and that idea, I'm just going to say for me personally, that idea that, well, if it can't be available to me, then nobody can have it. I'm not 5. I would never say that to somebody. Like,
yeah, and that's the problem in California. That's and for me as a print impaired person, I feel horrible that millions of documents are not available, not because of me, but kind of because of me.
No, I 100% hear you.
And that's not
the problem is that we're essentially legislating ourselves into corners with some of the accessibility laws. And California did it to themselves. You know, they had a court order that said that they had to, you know, become accessible, and then their state legislature passed a law that said, well, we're going to be accessible in 2 years' time, and by gum, off we go, without really understanding the logistics behind it. And, you know,
and that's a great point.
It ended up being a fiasco.
Yeah. That's a great point, Steve, because we touched on that in the slides earlier, where we said, you know, the problem here is nobody has ever been taken to court for trying to do the right thing. So had California given a rip and done something accessible to begin with, no one would have come back and legislated and said, now you need to become 100% compliant, which 100% is impossible.
Yeah.
So it's not, the people that are getting their butts kicked by this are people who just don't care, or who aren't, or don't get it. You know, and they're not doing anything to make themselves more aware. Because if you're using Scribe, yeah, you may get a ticked off print impaired person who says, you know, this wasn't 100%. Yeah, but here you go. We can produce that for you. It's going to take you a heck of a lot less time to get me an accessible document than it is for me to take you to court and sue your pants off for it. And that's the idea here, is let's stop the litigation. Let's start working together, and let's, you know, 95% of something right now is better than 100%.
95 is an A+.
Yeah. And that's the key. It's time to be real, you know, and we're not looking to put document remediation companies out of business. That's not our competitor. You know, this is not a competitive field. This doesn't exist. We're making our own way here. So it makes no sense to me when we've actually gotten some resistance from document remediation companies that say, well, you know, it's not perfect. No, it's not. But that doesn't mean you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because I could tell you many days, many times where I have thrown something on the scanner and been able to glean what it is.
Yeah.
You know,
there are times as a Braille reader where I want the beautiful transcribed file that looks perfect, and there are other times where I just want the bloody information.
Thank you. Yeah,
and those are very different things.
Well, you know, it's folks like yourself that I really hope become evangelists for this, because we really, if you've known anything about me, I mean, for me, it's not about being the most costly. It's about being the most cost effective and being real. You know, I'm a blind person first, and I got to answer to my own community for whatever I do. Besides, I got to sleep good at night, and I want to make sure that what we're producing isn't crap. It's not just that solution that a company just puts in because it's what they do. We want to make sure that companies understand that this is a step in their way, in their path to creating an accessible document creation workflow. And especially when it comes to legacy documents. I mean, there's billions of legacy documents that are never going to get human remediated. And does that mean that we shouldn't have access to them? You know, heck no.
Or that nobody should.
Well, there you go. That's touche. Yeah.
I have a question.
Sure.
This is Susan. So I work for the Division of Vocational Rehabilitation in Colorado. And one of the things that I have been asked to do is look at all of our documents and make sure that they're accessible. So is this something that I work for the organization that owns the content? And it can be anything from an Excel spreadsheet to something they want to have on a PDF to a Word document. I mean, I get all manner of fillable forms and informational sheets and all kinds of stuff. Mm-hmm. Would I be able to run this through, probably not with the extension, but with the actual product, and then end up with whatever format I want, that then I could go in and massage to make it 98%?
Yes. So let me ask you a couple of questions. The answer to that, the overall is yes. But I want to ask you a couple of questions because it may be easier than you think. So you've been tasked, first of all, is there like a court order saying you must be compliant by this date, like by a judge? Okay, no. A good thing. So
no, we're just trying to do the right thing, 20 years too late.
I get you. Well, and that's okay. Better late than never, The reality is that accessibility is a flexible term. If you look at the WCAG, the WCAG standards, and that's all they are, standards, they are pretty open to interpretation, which means that I can tell you that if we produce it, it's going to be accessible. Now, the degree of usefulness of that accessibility is where you come in and you say, you know what, we're going to put all this stuff available. We're going to put Scribe in front of it. And if the user comes along and says, this is just not good enough for me, they can click a button, and then you would get a copy, Susan, of it and say, hey, let me make this better for you. And then you provide it to the consumer, and then you put it back into the library as the 100% version or the 98% version. And that way you're a little bit reactive, but it's good on the budget. It's good on, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know what people are going to ask for. Now, we don't do things like forms just yet. We are working on forms. We love forms. We're not doing forms just yet. We can read them and we can give you like the form fields and all that stuff, but we want to make it fully fillable and submittable and all that stuff. And we're not there yet. And we want to deal with multi-part forms and all kinds of stuff. So forms are not on our radar yet. But when it comes to just flat documents, I can assure you that if you give it to our technology, it's going to come out about 95% accurate, and without you having to go back and relook at it. And that's going to save you time. So, I mean, you're welcome to contact me after the after the meeting, and we can, you know, I can, you know, help you out and, you know, give you some access to the system so you can throw some documents at it, random documents of your own choosing, and see how good it is.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Okay.
How about complex tables?
Complex tables are getting better. Nested tables, we're getting better.
Okay, that's a reasonable response.
Yeah, because tables are, you know, and the biggest thing is that tables are used for decoration.
Oh, yes.
Table are used, you know, so the biggest thing is trying to get this darn, you know, AI to understand, hey man, that's just to make it pretty. And you know, and that's exactly what we're doing here. Have no doubt, we're teaching this thing. It's like teaching a 5-year-old, you know, you're teaching it all the time. So we're definitely the model, the document you throw at it today may not, you know, may be better, you know, a year from now or 6 months or a month.
Awesome.
Alrighty, so just for those who are waiting patiently to hear the audio output, I've now got the sample. So the 2 pages of that inaccessible document that I got off the Arizona website, that turned out to be about 4 minutes in audio. So it probably took about 2 minutes to convert it into MP3. And hopefully I'm sharing my audio and it's not too loud. I'm going to hit play here and scream at me if it's too loud or something or too quiet.
Aldofla Vampel. The sun rose on a landscape still pale with the heat of the day before. There was no haze, but a sort of coppery burnish out of the air lit on flowing fields, rocks, the face of the one house, and the cliff of limestone, overhanging the river. The river gorge cut deep through the uplands. This light at this hour, so unfamiliar, brought into being a new world painted, expectant, empty, and
hang on. It's probably because I'm going through my headset for audio.
What are we listening to? We could hear that.
Oh, could you?
Yeah.
Oh, you
I could.
Okay, let me try bumping up the volume a little here. Was the volume okay?
For me, it was.
Oh yeah, the volume was nice and loud.
Was it?
Tim
Okay.
Kilpatrick.
Hello.
That's totally bizarre. I can't hear it. I'm on my
Yeah, it's weird.
iPhone.
I couldn't hear it. I couldn't hear it either.
Weird.
So
10.
On my iPhone,
The month was
and I
June,
could hear
of a
it.
summer almost unknown, for this was a country accustomed to late wakenings, to daybreaks humid and overcast. At all times open and great with distance, the land this morning seemed to enlarge again, throwing the mountains back almost out of view in the south of Ireland's amazement at being cloudless. Out in front of the house, on a rise of rough grass, somewhat surprisingly stood an obelisk.
That's probably enough.
That's pretty decent. It's pretty good.
And that's a company called Seroproc.
Thought I recognized the voice.
Yeah, and they're getting better and better all the time.
Yeah, they're really good.
And
use them,
we love it because we can do other voices, but the whole idea here, I mean, very candidly, is to keep costs, you know, at a minimum.
Yeah,
so
their
that
costs are reasonable.
So that we can offer unlimited. You know what I'm saying? I prefer going to somebody and saying, hey, you know, we're going to run on your website and it's going to be X amount of dollars a month per domain, and it's going to be unlimited. As many people visit and the only way we can do that is by pretty much using technologies that we partner with the companies and we integrate them into our workflow, as opposed to kind of a pay per use, which is what you get when you use, you know, Google TTS or whatever, you know, that kind of thing. Even though sometimes those voices are a little bit better, but again, are we looking for, you know, do we want whatever, a Screen Actors Guild quality voice, or do we want the information? You know,
I really like Seroproc.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah,
they're quite good. What was that we were listening to?
It was a sample called "A World of Love."
Oh, right. Okay, that you did say that.
World of Love. Welcome,
All about the love here.
World of Love. I love it. But yeah, so that and they provide a number of languages. What Steve, I don't think, was able to demonstrate there was if you're, for example, with and this product was actually developed with help of the Canadian government. They were just instrumental in.
That's why they have a French Canadian voice.
Yeah, this product was really, you know, just really vetted by the Canadian government. And they were real tough on the whole bilingual thing. And Steve one day, just for the heck of it, sent me a document that had like 13 different languages. And we pegged them all with TTS.
Your French is very good.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Yeah. So you know, I if you'd like to contact me after the meeting, I'll be happy to. Susan, if you want to try was it Susan that was asking for that was using the Braille user? I'm sorry.
That was me. That was Jen. Susan was
Jen. There you go.
Speak for Susan.
Jen, if you'd like to contact me and test the extension, you're welcome to. All you got to do is commit to to letting us know when something's broken, which you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, I would do that anyway.
Mike, it's Ryan. I have a quick question for you.
Sure.
Is the extension going to be available for other browsers other than Chrome?
It's available for Chrome. For Chrome, it's available for Edge,
Okay.
and it's going to be available for Firefox as well. It's just a matter. We're just getting into the stores. David is working like a chicken with his head cut off.
Sure.
David's the developer. David Calvo.
That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He's doing good. David actually is doing the AI stuff as well for us. So he's a pretty bright kid.
Awesome. Thanks.
But yeah, so it'll be. And by the way, Ryan, reach out to me too, man. If you don't, because the extension just got into kind of a place where we can hand it out to people for testing.
Okay.
So
Sure,
we're about
will
to
do.
test. So we'd love your input, man. You're great at that, and we really.
Great. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah. So do we have any other questions? Questions?
I have a question. It's Kim Kilpatrick. Hi. I have a question about the types of documents. For example, I've always wanted to do research at archives, our national archives, or to get, I do a lot of storytelling and other things, and I always want to find material, and it's always really hard to do that kind of research because things are so old. Maybe they were scanned in a funny way from old newspapers and things like that. How does it do with those kinds of things?
It does as good as just about anything else on the market.